We just have one magazine that we use with all the kids.
And that's kind of what we're thinking, is just get one of them, and call it, good for both levels, because we won't use it as like our main material.
It's
And
a supplement.
yeah, it's a supplement,
So maybe if we did ninth grade, the reading level would be a little more.
probably easy for,
It
yeah,
probably wouldn't be a whole lot different.
I don't think.
I think they pick the same topics and just kind of go down.
That's-
And we can look at it in the next year if we want to go to 10th grade.
Go for it.
And just
See what the
flip-flop
difference
back and
is.
forth.
Yeah, and that's what we were kind of leaning, was this one group and have like 25 of them or so. That way we're covered for when we do have like the 2 sophomore classes, we should have enough for
Right.
kids,
And so I had just put in a little link here, so just in case anybody wanted to peek at them a little more. You can kind of see what they look like. I know Carrie's used them. And the
Yeah.
elementary, we've used them before, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's nice because you can give the quizzes built into the articles, and there's also like activities built in.
And you can drop those into Google Classroom too, can't you, and tell your teacher digital one? So that might be good if somebody's out sick or something else and they need something.
Yeah.
Good signature like.
And I use them a lot for injured kids.
Yeah,
Mhm.
girl's been out all semester with a broken foot and, easy way to get some clothes for
Mhm.
productive wear.
Yep. Yeah, it's a productive things in that city.
And so this one was like on goal setting and how not to be procrastinating, mental health section,
Yeah, there's some really good.
animals. I'll quit like a winner. For e-cigarettes, but that was one of the topics that we talked about
I
too.
was gonna ask about that. Do you know, maybe you know, are they gonna have the OPI group coming again to do vaping?
We just signed a contract, not contract or anything, with Bullhook.
Uh-huh.
And I have that on here too. They are going to come in and they're going to cover marijuana, teenage brain, anxiety and vaping.
With all,
Middle school and high school.
so when are they gonna do that?
They are meeting with the principals to set up a schedule.
You,
And
So what
then
did you say again?
marijuana. Vaping. The teenage brain, kind of like effects on the brain. And anxiety. We also have a lady. Her name's Levon, and she is a state grant, and she would like to come in and talk to our students. We'll talk about it next week, when we meet with admin. Kind of about the harmful effects of vaping, and you don't necessarily know what's in those vapes. And how she has test strips, she has Narcan.
So that'll
she has-
replace the OPI person coming with the vaping part. So are they gonna do it with our first semester kids, do you know?
Kurt.
I'll have to ask you because we only have a quarter left of those.
So we
kids.
need to get it
So
in.
if we're gonna get it in with this group of kids, we need to get it in before January 16th.
And then we can also use them as if we have students who potentially are caught, then they can also do it as counseling. On
Yeah, that'd be
a
awesome.
basis too,
Yep, that would be great.
not necessarily as punishment, but hey, here we go, we need more in depth.
Yeah, and like,
knowledge
that's
of
why I
what you're
try to
doing
tell
to your body.
the kids, it's not a punishment that we're talking about this, and that we're gonna catch you, we're trying to help you. Not do it for your health, the future, it's not for that, you don't like you. Anyway,
And Levon would come in and do a whole assembly style, so she would, middle school and middle school.
so the whole student body,
Mhm. And hers would be tailored different than Bullhook's.
both of us would do just PD classes, okay.
Yep.
And what's her name, Levon?
Levon,
We'll be doing assemblies, I think.
yes. Bullhook's school.
Yeah, you know.
And I'll get back to her, but she has letters for parents and everything else, and just like. We need to discuss how in depth we wanna go and like what we're really handing out. Because there's a line between prevention and promotion, I feel like, with Narcan and different things,
Oh, okay, yeah.
so
Okay.
that is part of that, so. We'll go with maybe 30 of ninth grade, does that sound good?
yeah, that's kind of the number we were at, 25 or 30, so if you're gonna go 30, that's beautiful.
I think we might as well.
Yeah.
That would be great. And then if we end up needing more the next year or mid-year, we can do that.
Okay. And then we talked about is the digital would be part of that as well,
Mhm.
let's go.
And then you should be able to drop everything right into Google
Yep.
Classroom.
Yep, that was the plan.
And she was gonna call back today with a few more specific.
Okay.
I'll pass that information on to. And Carrie, you were talking about new textbook
Yeah,
series. Did
yeah.
you find any ideas?
Oh, I didn't ask this to you.
I can look
Yeah.
too. Why don't we both look?
Yeah, the two we've had since I've been there, both in McGraw Hill. But we can look at the version out there. There is, but
There was, and I think it's what the high school uses. Right down here.
okay.
And Waylon, you would probably know more on this. This one. Right here, 6th edition fitness. Sorry, it's kind of a little cut off with this for life. Does it look like this? Oh, of course, it's right there. That's it. Okay, so the vendor for that one is Human Kinetics.
Does that have
Too
all
much.
all the health topics in it, or just fitness topic?
Yeah, and it does look very in-depth.
Yeah.
Like you can Google this one and it gives you all 437 pages or something of it. It's.
Yeah.
So I can talk to a couple vendors too and.
What is
see.
it called? I don't know.
This one is called Fitness for Life.
Is there a middle school version of it?
Sure, I was wondering if this was the right one because I.
Yeah, no, that's-
Oh, look and see, because that's high school, right? Nine.
That's exactly what we have.
Yeah.
We've heard the middle school, maybe that would be better than we have, I don't know.
And I can meet with a couple more of them and. we'll see.
I'll look too.
Alright. Our computers are really slow today, I'm sorry. It's just gonna think for a minute. And then everybody's got their templates. Did you get a chance to kind of check those out and look at them and see?
The ones we're gonna add our pacing guide to and all that, yeah, I did. That's all I thought today, so.
Perfect. So if by the next time we meet, in December, if we can have those sent to me, maybe a little bit before.
Smitty's been working on
Oh, you want me to send it to you?
Yeah, if you'll send it to me electronically, then I'll kind of go through them and.
The only changes,
Pacing guides.
yeah, the only changes I made.
Well, these are called templates. So
But
the
like
curriculum
just,
templates.
like you're talking like this,
Oh, they're corrected.
the statement about middle school PE and then the pacing guide.
Mhm,
Do you just want those pages or do you want the whole thing?
the whole thing.
Because
The
I only
whole
changed
thing is
those.
what's going to go on our website.
Okay, but
This
the changes, I only made the changes on like those two spots.
This is the template you're talking about. Okay, okay.
Yeah, but
And Kristen, this is what. Okay, K1 version.
because the rest of it is basically all the standards.
Yeah.
Yep, and then if you put your pacing guide in.
Yep.
Like the short version of
Okay.
it.
Yep.
We'll be doing
Gotcha.
these topics, these 4 weeks, you know. You don't have to put specific dates in it. You
So-
can say week 1 through
Yeah,
3,
yeah.
because your dates will change every year and I don't want you to have to go change it every year. It doesn't matter exactly.
But we're not bound to those specifics on the pacing guide year to year, are we?
If it's tied to your standards, we have to make sure no matter what we do that we're taking these every year. You can
Yeah,
do them
but,
in a different order.
Okay, that's my question.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. Yep, just have to make sure we're getting. And that's kind of what we'll look at in a few more minutes too. And then we're just looking at that possibility of adding a new course for physical conditioning, which I think will be kind of nice.
Elders are a little more.
Hopefully in a couple of weeks, yeah, what's a good time? That kind of brought up to mind too, if we're doing a new course. Do any of you do grading rubrics?
That's ours.
Based on?
That's
Okay,
ours.
and then it looked like this was potentially high school as
Oh,
well.
is that yours too?
We're pretty, very simple.
So I can pass these around too and see if it's something that you've ever looked at, Trevor,
Right.
or.
Yeah.
And we have on ours,
I have the same thing.
we have dressing out as one of them too, because they're rated on it. I mean, they get points if they don't do it. So we have 4 categories instead of 3 on ours. So when they lose 5 points for not being prepared, They understand,
And it works out for 20
right,
points a day
yes.
for 80 a week, so it's nice.
And then I think this one's based on 15 points.
I think that was
That's
ours.
the high school, I think.
That was our.
Well, that was ours initially,
Yeah.
then we added the fourth category because, so the kids could see that it actually matters when you're not prepared. So I think we did that with Mueller, and we
Yes.
added the fifth. one of those.
Are there any changes or additions we need to do to that one?
No, that's a really good, I like that.
I thought it was fabulous.
It is awesome, and it's posted in the locker rooms for the kids.
They know exactly what they need to do and. Gary, if you have a copy of yours, will you send it to me?
Yeah, but I think we had to add non-dressing because of COVID. When they came, they didn't dress out, so you couldn't use locker rooms. And so when we came back to school and could use locker rooms, they would not dress out. And they were in their skirts and high heels, and so we had to make it
It's
some kind of,
dangerous.
yes, we had to make something, okay, you're losing 5 points, and if you get a third non-dress, you had a bunch of detention. So it was part of their, so that's why we added it, because it was just. And it's great now. It's out.
Oh, yeah, there's mine. Yeah.
Not bad. And then we talked about, this is the OPI one that we talked about for vertical alignment last time, and I think this is the one that you're working on too. And I sent that out. This one is a PDF, but I have the Word version of it too. And so I thought that might be helpful for us to look at today. Kind of in groups. Don't really help our needs together.
Well, we were told that we didn't have to. All of us. That's good.
I'll give you one.
Seth will become the next couple.
Do we wanna wait for them to see what? There, we can do this two different ways. We can work on this here during our time, if we are able to get, everybody together. This is the one that you guys want for K5, and it starts on page 2. Right there. So my hope with this was that each grade level would just go ahead and take a highlighter. And we'll come around and say, okay, here I am, I'm able to do, this is the high school, it's just broken up into life skills. That's between you got my room. And we'll peek at elementary. Probably should have just stuck with the middle school because it's right here. I'm almost there. Oh. I need the page.
It is.
You guys are looking to do-
Yeah, we could. Oh, let's say let's do some theater, but, yeah. Not bad, we had a couple of years ago, we had northern, I think, was dance students, or swing dance coming in.
Oh.
Each year.
Yeah, we used to, when we did it back in the day. I think we- Well, actually, it was online. You know, it was-
Yeah.
When we retired, then one day, we kind of did it too, so. Yeah, the walls and, waltz, jitterbug.
Yeah,
I don't remember what else we got.
I had a classic, so she was on all that stuff.
So what do you want us to do here?
So I thought we would kind of peek with our partners, and if you guys want to do this on support Friday, you can. Or if you want to do it here, like you guys don't have the option. on
Well, I
Support
can.
Fridays because you're,
I can, every other support Friday, I am completely free.
and you teach it every time,
Yeah,
Oh,
so this would work better for you guys here, and I can help. I can do Jason if you want.
we usually make Jason do everything, so.
And you missed it, this is your part to do.
No, I thought you were being Jason.
So my thought was, we'll go ahead and take these, kind of match them up with what you have, and they already should match, we looked at that. But, maybe if you're at, the different grade levels, you start with kindergarten green. Are they working on those locomotor skills? If they are, we'll highlight what they're doing at each level. And then we can see kind of what's introductory and what's mastery, what they need to have by the next.
Standards. That's
So-
what we're teaching.
But, well, if we don't hit some of them real good, what did you want us to, what colors are you using?
I think if we're not hitting them very good, we'll just like dot them, because I think we wanna see a different color on them, just so that we know where they're at. Because once you get down to middle school and high school,
Mhm.
it's really different.
Oh,
Middle school starts on page 106. And so this is pretty easy to see, but if there's certain parts that we're not doing at all,
right. That's
then we wanna know that, and then maybe come up with a plan. Do we need materials for that? Is it something that, like, I look at sixth grade right here, and I see that they are working on those types of things, like. They're exhibiting responsible behavior, cooperating with classmates. You can just see how it changes just a teeny tiny bit between each grade level. And we wanna make sure if we're missing a chunk of that, that we are able to address it.
How do we mark it if we're missing it? How do you mark it against it?
I almost think it would be best if we use pink for things that we 100% master.
Pink is mastery.
Pink is mastery, and it's mastery on every single one. Yellow means that they have a knowledge base of it. So they're working kind of at an intermediate level.
Okay.
And then our green will be, it's just an introductory skill.
How about not hitting it at all?
If you're not hitting it all, just leave it blank.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, how are some of these evaluated? Because like for grade 6, the second one where you say uses appropriate strategies with regard to positive self-talk. Like if I'm a sixth grader, as a teacher, how are you expected to evaluate that? Okay,
Observation.
just your
Watching it
observation and
interact.
interpretation of it, okay.
And then some of those areas where they're blank, we look at it and we know that they're using second step curriculum with the counselor. And so the
Okay.
counselor's covering that.
Okay. That was
And
what
there's a
we're gonna-
huge, like. K-5, there's a whole section on positive self-talk at every developmental stage. And they know, they practice with partners, they have scenarios. And so that's why it's kind of nice to see where those gaps are, because then we can identify, do we need to pull in full hook? Do we need to? have a
Great.
counselor? Like, are we covering all these areas? Because you could say, oh yeah, I'm doing it all. But when you really look at pieces of it, then you're like, we're not necessarily hitting every part. Which is okay, because we want to be reflective and
Yeah.
come up with
Yeah.
ways that we can have us improve.
That's good.
So that's what we've done for all of the other core classes with ELA and math. So it's kind of nice because it's already blocked out and you can see it really well. Let me see if it'll let me pull it up.
We should.
Well, it's just like, there's 7 pages of health, but 3 pages.
There's so many more health topics, it seems like.
It's ridiculous.
So this is kind of what we're talking about. We've got our introductory. Functional means we're practicing it, and then mastery, you master those. These are because they have such long standards. This is standard number 1 for counting and cardinality. It's only a kindergarten standard. That's why they have it here. So we looked at the words and we determined, okay, they are mastering all of these. They're not mastering standard 2. It's just at a functional level, but it doesn't need to be at a mastery level based on the words. And then when we keep going, operations and algebraic thinking, they're just learning it here. They have to have it mastered by 1st grade because they have a new skill that starts for 2nd grade where they have to be at functional, but then a brand new skill for 3rd grade, which needs to be mastered so they can start a new skill that's a much higher level. Which is, it's
kind of interesting. And it goes all the way through for, you know, all the different standards. You start kind of with your middle school, they're in different areas.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that kind of helps. But it's not a 10-minute project. It's going to be one that if we're all able to be here together, it would be really easy if. Because you guys have dedicated time, 2 hours on support Fridays, it might be easier.
We don't have, what do you mean?
You don't have your 2-hour blocks. We do at the high
We
school.
don't, I have advisory, we all have our own advisory with our own kids, that we have to supervise and help with all the time.
We developed that.
But we could have.
And Andy has it started, but just not color coded. And I think we need the color coding, so everybody in the district goes,
Yeah.
we're just starting. We're moving along, this skill is mastered, because we don't see it again in the next grade level. So that's why if we look at these guides right here. When we read them across as a group, we know, okay, they have to have it mastered right here because it's not starting.
Might be able to get someone to cover our advisories for an hour. Something.
And if not, you know, we can work here together. And
So we're doing this next time too?
yes.
Okay, then maybe Seth can come next time. I think we're planning on it.
That would be good. Because I think this is almost the trickiest part, but if we do this, then the standards make so much more sense. And you know how far you need to dive in.
Yeah.
And then, okay, we have these books and different things, but they don't touch any of this. We have this huge gap, so how do we?
No, I mean, that is for our gym curriculum. Not
Here's
for
the
our health
PE part.
curriculum.
This is PE. They're both on there. They're different places.
Okay, so what would you? Let me just pick one here. Describe how health can be affected by school and community environments. What depth of knowledge are we gonna say it's yellow, pink, or green? How are we gonna evaluate that? Because this one sheet there's 30. And there's another 30, and there's 7 sheets versus our 3 of gym.
Well, that's why I thought we would just start with the PE ones
Okay,
and go through those and make sure they make sense. And then, because if your kid can't hop, they're not gonna be able to skip. They're not.
No, I
gonna be
guarantee
able to
it.
Do all of the next steps.
the PE part is easy for us.
Mhm.
All of us would agree.
Mhm.
They're mastered.
We work on
Without
it every
doubt,
day.
every day.
And
But
they
this
need to-
stuff,
This is
the-
the harder part.
I just started this and it's so far over their heads. I asked them what, outside environmental factor that would be dangerous for us. Pollution along those lines, kids said snake bite. So it's for second and third grades. A lot of these are,
What standard is tied in your textbook that you have to outside?
I don't use the textbook.
I know, but it's in there, because I've used the textbook for second and third.
For what though, would you ask?
For your health topics, that's what is exactly in that health book. It's in the textbook,
Not all of it,
Not all of it.
not all of these.
but that's why we need to look at.
This is the bare minimum.
Which ones are in there, because there might be a great section on environment.
Well, no, we discuss it and we continue, like, they don't have a book to go through of their own, so it's just.
No, but you have the teacher book too, leave it that.
I'm not saying I'm struggling teaching it. I'm saying they're struggling with a lot of these concepts because they're over their head. So, yeah, at that age, I mean. Identify situations that require healthcare. Right? I mean, I'm not. Where's our guide to mark it green, yellow, or pink?
Well, and that's why I think we have to have this discussion, because if we have Jason here and he's talking about. When would you need to get healthcare? Well, when you're in kindergarten or first grade situation, you're probably going to seek that out for different things than you may look at or be able to conceptualize by the time you're in fourth. Like they don't need to go to the doctor if they fall and scrape their knee.
Right.
But if you fall and you break your arm, you are going to have to go and seek healthcare. And what are some things, how can you break your arm? What are some risk factors that we can mitigate and say, you know, for us not to do that, here's some couple things we do with these. But
So
if you do have these things happen, you do need to go.
Like a DOK 1 level, 2,
Yeah,
I mean, cause 3 is out of the question, in my opinion. Would you agree?
unless it's the exact same standard for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, by the time you get to third grade, they should know it. And they
Yeah.
should be able to almost not just play Jeopardy, but be a little bit of a devil's advocate and say why, or, you know, how you explain it back,
Mhm.
you know? Because what we wanna do every time is just build a little bit deeper knowledge for everybody.
Yeah,
So then it's not, okay, I've gotten to fourth grade, but I've never heard about this before, when it's introduced in different grades. And some of them are not appropriate for K through 2. They're just not, and
No.
a lot of them don't have them on there. But, you know, here you go. Do they actively participate in PE? So we need to look at the health standards.
So I guess as long as we're teaching the standards. Cause some of the things that we're doing with these kids. A lot of them, we teach it and we practice it and they don't master it. And they move on and they haven't mastered it yet. And you know what I mean, like throwing a ball. The way you're, you know, the mechanics to throwing a ball and catching a ball and distance and accuracy and. We teach it.
And whether it's overhand or
I know,
underhand,
yeah,
because their
Right,
development.
and then we teach it, but some of them don't master it, even when they leave the middle school.
You know, maybe that's-
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's just one
Yeah.
example, there's a lot of things that they've worked on since kindergarten,
right.
and you get them and work on it, they still don't master it,
Yes.
you get it.
Yeah.
So we mark it that we're working on it, so that's our,
And when we had, that who came in and did this,
yes,
you know,
yes,
the bald head guy.
yes,
Okay, when he came in and talked to us, like it all of a sudden clicked for me because he said. You might be introducing, and I think we were doing an English
Mhm.
standard talk.
Mhm.
You might have already introduced this to you, and you got it on
right,
the 47th time.
yes,
And you got it on the 42nd time, and you got it on the third time.
right,
But until your brain is ready and developmentally ready, you can do it the same time, same way 47 times. You can do it 6 different ways. When your brain is actually ready and you're developmentally prepared, that is when it's going to kick in.
so as long as we're teaching it like that, then that's the colors we use, like if some kids have mastered it by 8th grade.
Hmm.
So we put that.
We wanna, the mastery part, we know that they have to have it mastered if it goes on to a completely different scale.
Okay, so,
So we're coding it based on what the standards are.
Okay.
Not based on where the student's achievement level is. Because then, when you look at this and it's already coded, you can say, all right, our really big goal by 8th grade is for them to be able to. You know,
Mhm.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
skip without tripping.
Mhm.
And have their arms going in opposite motions and everything else. So this is our goal, so we know in 5th, 6th, 7th. We have to get to this point as good as we possibly can, because we're not going to be assessing this stuff.
right, we're expecting you because we've worked on it for. Okay.
Is it going to work every time? No, and that's why with the big proficiency-based movements and education and everything else, we want to go until students are proficient. And proficient by OPI standards and other places, it's 80%. It's not 100%. We would love for it to be 100%, but we know that not everybody is going to learn in the same way, develop in the same. So we want this to give them the best lineup that they can, that we start, you know,
When they
with,
get all these things, but they'll get it.
they all build on each other to get to the point that, okay, we're gonna master it, and then we're really not going to worry about it anymore. They'll be doing that in their daily life. And everything spirals so much that they get so many opportunities. But then when we hit that red thing, and it's so much more concrete in math. Because now you move on to a different skill.
Yeah, right, that's totally, and this is so,
This is very conceptual,
Yes.
and that's why. Part of me was like, do we even wanna get into this? But I think we wanna look at it and say, are there big gaps that we have that we know? Because we can't always just assume the grade before or after. So.
okay. Yeah, I get it for the big gaps, so we'll try to do the big gaps, so there's things that we do carry over year after year, a lot of it is carried over.
A lot of it is, it's spiral review,
Yeah,
especially with the
especially
PE
what
part.
we do, yes.
Health slowly builds.
Health slowly builds, but it is a lot of carryover too,
Mm-hmm.
and there's, yeah, you introduce it, certain topics and get more in depth as they get older. And there's some topics that you should always be talked about.
And then like Trevor, back to your point where it says like environmental factors that lead to this. That's part of why we looked at those I can statements forever ago, because we wanted to be student friendly.
Sure,
Like instead of saying, what are environmental factors that do what?
whatever.
Then you can say, what is dangerous that happens outside, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
what are things we need to be aware of? You know, are there any types of weather that we should be watching out for? And then we know, you know, in Montana, you need to watch out for a blizzard. You might have to watch out for thunderstorms or potentially flooding, right? Those type of things. So it's a lot more easy for them to understand. Because that's the adult language, but they're not adults. And sometimes the adult language they use is confusing and makes us think about it 3 or 4 times because you're like, what are you even trying to get at? It's just, all standards should just be written in common language. And there's a lot of educational jargon too that isn't helpful. But that's why I think it would be nice to have a whole team here to say, okay, it's not something you can come wrong.
Yeah.
Because you know what you do, but you don't know what either section on either side of you does.
Yeah,
Especially for the
because everybody knows their stuff pretty good, so we can just throw it real quick and get it out and move on. It'd almost be easier if we, in my head, if we categorized it like health things, like, you know, like tobacco and alcohol and drugs, how does that spiral through? Instead of, because you've seen these, they're so random.
Yeah.
Like one, I could be talking about TV and then the next one talks about guns, and then this one talks about earthquakes, and it's all right there, like, okay,
You
no,
can completely reorder those.
I'm not touching that.
True, this is all over the
I thought
place.
if we had a different section, you know, what do we talk about tobacco? How do
It
we
makes so
talk
much
about
more
tobacco?
fun.
What do I do?
Yeah.
Like if we pick
Yeah.
how, you know, the main categories in health. Because
Yes.
are we? There's a lot of health stuff.
There's so much help.
So much health stuff.
But that does make sense, because you could have a section on substances and a section on environment and personal care and
Yeah.
to like group them kind of in that.
And they are grouped in this
Yeah.
through OPI right here. Is this, I pulled forward to the health, is the health is the first 100. The first 90 pages of health, K-12.
So, yeah, could ours look
And
like
this
that?
one,
Yeah.
Could our health ones look like that?
That would
Could our is that our standards right there?
these are the health standards, yep, OPI already has. the
And
standard.
why don't ours,
So-
why don't we? It
Instead
has
of
our
having our-
pacing guide and,
Yeah.
and
We just
about
use
our
that.
school. to that.
As long as we know, we can print this off. and
'Cause this
as
is
long as
this.
We know, yeah, that's it,
Yeah,
as long as we know that we're addressing this.
Right, that's
Well,
why
then that would align, right? That would spiral. They've done all our work for us.
That's why I thought this was easier to print off and give you a picture.
this, yeah, so yeah.
And I can do the same
Yeah.
thing for the health ones.
Yeah, right, I'd like that, and then we can see what we do and how, when we're having that.
Are these adopted, standards? From the
Yeah, and then we just put our course information and our pacing guide and our statement about our building. PE.
And
And
it's-
then-
Underneath this, yeah.
Mhm. The colored portion of it is never going to go on the website, because it's not going to make sense to anybody else, it's just for us to know that we're not leaving big chunks.
Well, this would be great, then we could just
Yeah.
teach right from it, and we'd all be on the same page. We wouldn't have to reorganize this or.
And I have it in a Word document already, so I can send it out, I've got it right here.
Yeah,
HPE vertical alignment, do you want me just to send it to everybody?
yes.
And it's saved as a Word
Now, that's
document.
the helpful, and do they have a PD one too?
I
Yeah,
have
said
it
that
in both of them,
Yeah.
in this document right here.
What do you think, Blair?
But I didn't want to send it out beforehand and make anybody go, what in the world?
No, I like it.
No.
No, that's way better, cleaner.
Yeah,
So this is just saved instead of a PDF that you can't do anything to as a Word document. In the email on your tool. It's a Word document, so we can do whatever we do with it. We can color code it if we want on there, we can.
Now, I know in the past, we've gone through some of them and changed it for our area, region specific. Is that something that we could look at and say, this doesn't necessarily apply to our. Like, first, remember we had, Missoula's. Last time we did this with Craig.
oh, yeah, he showed
And
us,
so we took that stuff and we said, well, this pertains to them, not necessarily us, so we kind of,
These are the state standards. So
okay.
the
Is there
four-
anything that we would want to add to that, I guess is what I'm saying.
If
for
you
our
wanted
region?
to add to it, then we would just put like an asterisk down here and add to it.
But nothing comes off the top of your head that we'd want.
We have to make sure that we tie IFA into that.
Okay, that's what I was gonna, stuff like that.
is that, that's not in there?
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. It has to be legally in Montana. I did talk to Katie Marcinko too, and she was able to purchase. One handball game and also I want to say double ball. That's not a double shot. Game, I have it.
What happened?
It's the one with,
The double ball? Not the double,
no, not double ball.
which is right here.
She's going to get more, but they have to be made. People actually make them.
Get the
Buy them on
traditional,
Amazon and everything else.
Stick it in.
So she is working on,
Is it gonna be for every building or just for?
hopefully, if not, we're gonna get really good tubs. And say, you know, these tie to, and I'll work with her on which standards, like eye coordination, that type of things, because some things are not appropriate for kindergarten.
Yeah.
And then we can have them in traveling tubs, and then maybe you use them for 2 weeks and then. Go to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Cool. That's our goal, is to get them in and moving. I have it in the supplemental material ones, and then I can go ahead and add in the magazine part too. I just want to make sure. She got one double ball set and one hand game set. And then as they get more, she'll purchase more of them out of the IDEA grant. And so then you can have some good materials that are already made, because a lot of them,
How much is in a set, you know, double ball set? Not for all the kids or?
I'm hoping. We are meeting on next. What she was just able to get. She said, I said, what else did you get? Because we talked about it after we had that September 27th. meeting. And we had idea out. It's like, can you find some other traditional buildings?
Yeah, major decision.
So I will, and I can't put it in, but I will. That's what we should.
December one? Okay, well. So we don't need to
Have that
get
done
for
before.
Christmas,
No, we'll do it together.
Oh, okay.
our next meeting here.
Yeah, and if you guys have time and you wanna start working on it,
Yeah, we'll
And
probably
you
start
can-
working.
you can start working on it.
Maybe be the one year, next time I move. I think it's soon.
and if you
I will
want,
be sure.
and we'll have
The November 15th, when I have a district implementation meeting from 10 to noon, but I can come over from 8 to 10. And I'll start to run, so just let me know.
But also,
And what was the homework on this basing guide?
Make sure that your template's ready.
Are we still gonna use these templates if we're going to that?
Well, just your course information and your pacing guide, and then your statement about PE at your school.
So we'll use that,
Like
and
I
then
have a statement about HPE at HNS.
from there, then we'll put in the charge stuff because it's so much.
It's clean.
It's
Yes.
clean, but the problem is you can't put the whole K5 chart in each grade level. Because you're only looking at your one grade level for this. So what we can do is keep these and then also have an attachment. That says K5 PE and K5 health standards. Because they're all by grade and they have to be by grade.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's weird.
Well,
And it doesn't help with the bands and things, like science is broken down. K5 is all individual, like keep both bands. So next time, send me these electronically, what you already have, ready, with your corrections on it, good for December.
Okay.
I will email out this in the Word document tonight. And then Carrie, if you wanna look for some books, and I'll look for some books, we'll do that, and Waylon, if you guys wanna work on that.
yeah, and I think 15th will go.
Okay.
8 to 10. And I'll tell Sweden myself, so she's coming up 8 to 10, just so we can all be on the same dates that day. And roll with it.
And then where should I meet at? You want me
Be
to
back.
Okay.
Yeah, just in the gym and then we can. Like we'll usually go and meet that night and we tell them we always can meet that white.
Okay, in the weight room.
Yep.
did you make, can I keep this? Yeah,
Okay. You're good. Thank you. And then Carrie, will you email me your dress out, your birthday? Yep. And then maybe we'll look at. If we need one for elementary, but I think your elementary one would just be what your grade is for each trimester, like. Here's what we're going to debate at these areas, because that would be a lot easier for you to grade. Be a lot less subjective. Instead of everybody has an S or something, look at that and be like, this is your O, this is your S, this is your.
Yeah.
N. Based on the rubric and start doing.
and when are we doing the rubrics down the road? Okay.
We'll look at the rubric maybe.
Okay.
And you've got a copy of that. We can kind of just- It's
I'll
all
just base it off of them.
And then that doesn't even have to be in this, like, it's completely easier when you're looking
Yeah.
towards and grading. Everything else to have it. All right, I'm sorry, this was more. I go in a different direction, but I think it'll be a better one.
I think we're all covered by the state and we're all gonna be styled. I think we'll be good.
And hopefully we'll have it in language. kids can understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
December 6th or that first Wednesday.
December 4th.
Okay.
And you should have it in your calendar for school. You sent calendar invites out.
Okay.
This is December 4th, the next one.
First, and we can count.
Yeah, it is the first month of every month. Except for January is the 8th, because we don't have school on New Year's Day.
Yeah. That's good.
All right.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much.